Has Sting still got it? Did Britt Baker win the AEW Women's Championship? And is wrestling shows better with fans in attendance? Yes, yes, and of course, yes. But find out why on the AEW Double or Nothing review show straight after this. So welcome then to the AEW review show. Myself, Steve from SCW, joined by Jonesy, Chats Wrestling in-house. Jonesy, how are you doing this Monday afternoon in the UK?
Yeah, definitely. Bank Holiday Monday. It's great to be here again on your fantastic channel. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, it's really good to have you here. And yeah, we're going to be diving into AEW. So everyone, feel free to get involved as well. Drop your comments on the show. Obviously, try and keep them match by match as well as we go through them. And we'll give you a shout out throughout the video. But first off, before we do, Jonesy, just give me a bit of an overall thoughts. Did you enjoy this pay-per-view?
Yeah, I thought it was one of the pay-per-views of the year for me. I think it was fantastic. I think there was a lot of really, really good matches. I think the main event was very particularly memorable for me in a lot of parts.
Absolutely, indeed, there. And yeah, I really enjoyed the show as well. I think that solid from top to bottom. And how good was it to have fans back in attendance? For me, that felt so special. I was a bit nervous at first because I thought to myself, well, so many people, you know, the situation we're going through, but everyone seemed to be, you know, really up for it. And I thought myself being quite envious.
Yeah, definitely. They're an amazing crowd. I love the way they got invested in most of the matches. I think they really, really helped the wrestlers go out and with that extra 5% and stuff, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It really does add to the show. It brings it up another level, and it shows how I've missed it so much. So yeah, it's really fun to see. We've got Renegade Ryan in the house who says, "Yo, Steve and Jonesy, yo to you, Renegade Ryan. Hope you're doing well, my man. Hope you enjoyed Double or Nothing. I look forward to hearing your thoughts as we go throughout the matches. So we're going to go then, and as usual, I will just stick up the match that we're going to be talking about as we go through the order. Of course, the first one was the buy-in between Serena Deeb and Rio. So yeah, it was a fun match between these two ladies. I particularly enjoyed this, and the crowd were really, really hot for this match as well, which was really nice to see. I almost felt like that this made this feel almost like that first match at WrestleMania for WWE. Kind of really had that extra buzz about it. I thought both ladies were fantastic through the match. You see Serena Deeb working the submission holds, working on the neck and working on the leg as well throughout the match. And I loved as well that Deeb always found herself actually going a little bit heelish as the match went on, just throwing those little seeds in. The fans weren't entirely sure how much she was a heel, but by the end of the match, she was full on heel, and I really liked that. She eventually got the victory by sort of smashing Riho's knee straight into the mat numerous times, then hitting the single leg crab to actually get the tap out victory. I thought this was a very solid open to the show. Jones, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. I think it told a really good story. It's always great to see the NWA title on AEW television, but no, I enjoyed it. I think it's exactly what an opener should be. I love the sort of 619 attempt during the middle of the match as well. I thought that was really good. But yeah, thumbs up. I thought this was a great start to the night, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. It set the tone for what was going to happen later in the evening, and a fantastic performance from both ladies. I think Serena Deeb is clearly one of the best females in AEW right now, even though she's holding the NWA Women's Championship. Great to know as well, Riho, she's changed her residence. She will be in the United States going forward, which means we should hopefully see more of her on Dynamite going forward.
That's positive. Really, really hope to see more of her. Obviously, the former AEW Women's Champion, always good to see more of her.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. There, I really enjoyed this opening. It was a great start to the night. But then going in, just before we do, actually, we've got a comment that's come in here. Martin Carrillo actually saying it's amazing on how AEW pulled off a full crowd before WWE. I have to agree. Yeah, I mean, they did it. They went for it. And I think hopefully it's going to be a success. Hopefully that this will be the start of that normality creeping back in. It certainly gave a hint of jealousy sitting at home and thinking that where I am, we're not quite there yet. But seeing it, it's really a nice sight to see, and I hope that this is going to be the site we're going to see more regularly going forward, Jonesy.
Yeah, I really hope so. It's really lovely to see the fans back. You really can get involved in the characters and the heel work and stuff like that when you've got fans booing and cheering, and they're not just piped in, which I think makes a massive difference. Real reactions on the site.
Absolutely. You make a fantastic point there. The idea as well that wrestlers can feed off of the energy from those fans and actually use it to their performance as well. It really makes a big difference. Serena Deeb in that buy-in match actually being a key example of that. But going then into the main show then, we had the first match, which was Hangman Page versus Brian Cage. And of course, Taz was on commentary as well. Brian Cage saying that he didn't want anyone actually from Team Taz around at ringside. He was going to do this one alone, which was fun to see that he wanted to do that. And I like the way that played into the match because these two together, it was a really hot start to the show. I mean, Brian Cage with his power game, yes, going with the Terminator look once again there for when he came down to ringside. Hangman Page, it wasn't long before the fans were chanting Cowboy S-word. These two exchanging a lot of power moves. I really enjoyed Brian Cage actually doing the suplex from I think it was like the bottom rope to the outside where Hangman Page actually landed on the ring entrance. That looked quite a brutal spot. Both men as well exchanging, looking to try each other's finishing moves as well, particularly that, Brian Cage trying to do the Buckhurst Lariat. That I think is what it's called.
Buckshot Lariat.
Hangman Page. That's the one. Thank you very much, Jonesy. I've been struggling with these moves the last couple of shows. I don't know what's going on. But maybe it's the lag. Maybe to be drinking what Hangman Page is drinking in these live streams. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, going through it, I mean, Brian Cage attempted that. Didn't quite work out. We got Team Taz actually then coming to ringside with Hook and with, of course, Ricky Starks as well. Cage obviously dismissing the idea of using the championship belt. That played to the disadvantage. And then we did get a buckshot lariat, said it right this time from Hangman Page, to get the 1, 2, 3. And of course, afterwards we see with Taz, I thought was a great performance on commentary, stating as well how like every time Brian Cage did something that was good, he was happy about it. When it's something that wasn't good, he was quite keen to share. This isn't what we discussed backstage. It clearly feels like that Brian Cage is not going to be a part of Team Taz not long in the near distant future.
Definitely. I think it was a great babyface tease. I really kind of enjoyed it. I think this was a fantastic match. It blew my expectations away. I love the opener. The reaction from the crowd was really, really good. It was so hard hitting. Both wrestlers really risked their life in stuff like in spots like this. Really kind of enjoyed it. Crucially, the right person went over. Obviously, Brian Cage did beat Adam Page previously, so it's the right result. And I kind of enjoyed it. I thought this was great. This really, really got me excited for the rest of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same indeed there. I mean, the thing is that, like we said, the crowd was so hot for it. The right babyface went over. Hangman Page is kind of on that slow, steady push towards the top of the card. I feel this next time he gets up there, that will be the time that he will succeed. But I really do hope that it's not going to be a case with him where he's going to, fall again at the last hurdle. But no, this was the right result. Definitely really enjoyed this opener. And do we see Brian Cage leaving Team Taz, or do we see Team Taz turning on Brian Cage?
We see Team Taz turning on Brian Cage, I think. I think that's the way it'll go down. But for me, I think Brian Cage is a babyface. This guy's got all the talent. He's got a great look. He's a bit like a Brock Lesnar, but he's got far more better ability, in my opinion. This guy's incredible.
He really is. He really is incredible. He does have it all. And do you think this is the right move as well? Because obviously, I feel AEW are lacking top babyfaces. Brian Cage could really fill that void. Yeah,
definitely. I think he could. I think I'd love to see him face Kenny Omega down the line. I think that could be a money match.
Yeah, I think so as well there. And just to say, we've got Lucas YWC in the house. Thank you for checking out. He's given us 3 2/3 stars here. So thank you for your review of the match there. We've also got Renegade Brian says he can't wait for AEW to go on tour. And yeah, I mean, of course, it's in July that they'll be going down. So really exciting to see. And like we say, normality seems to be on its way back, which is really fun. And I was surprised what was going to be the next match on the card.
Yep.
It was, of course, the Young Bucks there defending the Tag Team Championships against John Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston has not had an opportunity since being in AEW to perform in front of a live crowd. And, of course, here, he not only did done so, he's done it as a babyface, coming through the crowd to Wild Thing as well with John Moxley. First off, we've gone to Eddie Kingston. What are your thoughts of the new Wild Thing version?
It's great. I love the crowd reaction. They really get into it. But the fact we're seeing Eddie Kingston finally getting that fan reaction, I don't think he realizes how over he is. It's so clear to see the amount of overness he gets and the reaction, the theme music. It's a good investment from Tony Khan buying these legitimate themes. Yeah, I do. I mean, the thing is that first when I heard the original Wild Thing played, I was like, doesn't fit for me. But when we've got this new variation of it, it's grown on me very, very quickly. I love John Moxley's old theme tune. I didn't say that wasn't needed to be replaced, but you can see with fan interaction, like you say, it's so clever that they've done this and made these changes, because with the fan interaction screaming along with the lyrics, Wild Thing, it really does make a good difference. Yeah, it does. Definitely 100% agree with you. Absolutely. Well, we're going to go into the match then. And, here we go. My screen's just coming back for you, hopefully, now. Can you still hear me, Jonesy? Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
We've gone a little bit funny, though, on the screen, though, at the moment. Apologies to those that are watching with us at the moment. Hopefully that does come back to normal very, very quickly. I can hear you fine. Yeah, okay. Well, let's talk anyway in the meantime, that people can hear what's going on then. The Young Bucks, of course, coming out there in the ring attire. Of course, Nick Jackson coming out with a beard. What were your thoughts on this beard? It was a bit of a strange one, wasn't it?
They did like a bit of a tribute to Macho Man. That's kind of the route I got down. One of them was almost like trying to be Macho Man, but great to see this kind of intro. I love the heel heat that the Young Bucks get. I think they're really, really kind of fun. This was obviously a really, really good match. Crucially, I think it had a lot of hard hitting spots, really. But no, I really enjoyed the match. Good to see you back, Steve. What did you think of the intro? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Yeah, and like you say, there was sort of a Macho Man kind of thing going on there, which was really cool to see. And yeah, I mean, it was really, really fun. I'm a fan of the Young Bucks and what they've done with this heel turn so far. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think they're really, really good. I think they're really devious. I think they're possibly the best tag team champions in wrestling at the moment. They're so over and they're so devious and stuff. I really kind of like it. I like the work they've done. But this match was amazing, though. It's so incredible. The amount of stuff that went on. We had the spray can and stuff like that. It was so hard hitting. But I don't know if it's just me. Were you shocked by the amount of kickouts? We constantly got kickouts all the kind of time throughout this match, Steve. I don't know if you sort of heard that. Sorry, you went a second ago. Are you back?
Yeah, I am back indeed. Yeah, for me, looking at it, I thought that this was quite. It was a quality match. I love the fact that we had so many of these near falls. I think that was. It was really fun to see. I mean, there were so many great spots throughout the match. I mean, we started with a brawl before anything even kicked off, and then of course the Young Bucks managed to get their way through the match as well. You know, I was really pleased with the match there. And I mean, obviously, I love the fact as well that we got the use of the trainer involved as well, the Young Bucks shoes. That really found that quite entertaining. Yeah, what were your thoughts as we played towards the finish of the match there? Obviously, Jon Moxley taking quite a few BTE triggers to the head. And of course, that led there to where the Young Bucks would actually eventually retain the championships.
Definitely. I thought it was okay. Clearly, the amount of offense that Jon Moxley took, like he got tombstoned on the ramp, which was quite a big bump. I'm surprised they did that, but really, really good. Crucially, Young Bucks obviously get the win. For me, I was surprised Moxley got pinned. I thought Eddie Kingston would be the one that got pinned here, but it was the right result, 100% for the Young Bucks to retain.
Absolutely. And with that, do you think that Jon Moxley, this could actually write him off TV in like a concussion kind of way?
I don't know. He wasn't exactly carried out by a stretcher, which was surprising. Like, he still, like, when they got the pinfall, it wasn't like he was totally out of it. He almost kind of still could have kicked out almost because the amount of stuff he sold. For me, I think if they were going to write him out, it would have been better to do a beatdown after. I think you should have had the Omega stable kind of just attack them both after if you're going to do that, really.
Absolutely. I mean, there were so many near falls as well, and like both of them were so well beaten down. You felt that could have been something that could have happened there just to finish it off. But it is what it is. But for me, this was one of my favorite matches of the night. I mean, it was one of the lengthier ones, and like you say, so many near falls as well. I really didn't know which way this was going to go. But to give this sort of a grade, this match, how would you grade it?
I think 4 out of 5. I think it was one of the matches of the night. I think it shows why AEW have got such good tag teams. And I think this, what I loved about it was very hard hitting. I loved that Jon Moxley got colour. It was very much like an ECW style match, which is what I love in 2021. Really, we don't really get that in WWE at all.
Absolutely. And did you just one other thing, and we didn't really touch on this, but then fighting in where the fans were before the match even got going, was you surprised that they were that involved and that close around where fans were?
I'm not surprised. This is the first opportunity to be in front of fans properly and really bring it back to what it used to be. I think the COVID protocols went out the window. Prime example, Steve, Moxley went and had a beer. Someone was drinking a beer and he took a swig of it and stuff like that. I think all COVID, there was no really concern for safety in that respect. No, that's right or wrong, really.
No, that's very, very true there. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see as things will play out with that one. But we do have another comment that's come here from DC Wrestling saying that a really great pay-per-view from AEW. Curious to see what happens next. We are as well. We'll be discussing through each match what we think could be the next potential as we go along. But yeah, thank you for checking out the live stream and definitely drop your thoughts of the matches as we go through. Would definitely be good to hear your thoughts from the show as well. But next then, we will go on then what would be the next match on the show, which was the Casino Battle Royale. And of course, Paul White, the Big Show, was on commentary as well. Just before we go into the match itself, Paul White on commentary, I thought he did quite a good job. He got a bit confused in one place with an elimination that hadn't happened. But apart from that, I thought he did a solid job on commentary. It was the first opportunity I had to actually see him live.
Yeah, I thought he was really good. I didn't think he sounded out of place, really. I think he was very comfortable in that role.
Yeah, I would have to agree there. And obviously, with the rules for people that are not aware of them, obviously, we've got 4 suits of cards. And each time one of those suits is released, we have obviously 5 superstars that come out. And of course, it's every 3 minutes. The match starts with 5 people. Every 3 minutes, another deck is released, which brings another 5 superstars out. When we've had all 4 suits out, we then have the Joker that's at the end. So what we'll do is, Jonesy, if you don't mind, we'll sort of try and break the match down in a little bit of segments, but we can't go through every single elimination elimination because that is superhuman, and I don't think I'm quite that this afternoon. But to kick off the match then, just to go through who we did get, we got the clubs kicking off, which had Christian Cage as number 1. Ironically as well, because Edge was number 1 in WWE's Royal Rumble, which was the match that Cage actually made his return after 7 years as well. So I thought that was an interesting touch. And of course, with the outwork everybody, this kind of worked for that gimmick as well. But we had Matt Sydal, Powerhouse Hobbs, Dustin Rhodes, and Max Caster as well. Max Caster doing one of his raps as well, which I really enjoyed, actually making reference to saying that Christian Cage actually lost his edge, and the fact as well that Matt Sydal also made the big slip last year. So what were your thoughts with this opening 5? I thought, looking at it, that they were putting some of the big-time players in this match nice and early.
It's a strong opening 5, definitely. As I said, I really kind of enjoyed it. The 5 that was in there. I think Christian Cage obviously was the front runner. I wasn't surprised to see him there at the start, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. My favourite part probably was Max Caster, though. That intro and the raps, they're getting over. I really think this is John Cena going back to when he was with B Squared. It's that type of character now. He's getting really over, and he's really connected with the fans. For me, I enjoyed it. I think it's getting better and better. But in terms of the match was fun. You got some solid workers there. I think obviously Matt Sydal is a great worker. Christian's not a bad worker. Dustin Rhodes always been kind of solid. Power Hobbs, I'm not too sure, but the rest of the wrestlers that were there were really good. But I enjoyed this opening. This was a great starting 5.
It certainly was, and Matt Sydal was the first one eliminated for those that were interested, and Max Caster, he did get eliminated in with that first area as well, which a lot of people booed. Like you said there, Caster, there's definitely something there. I feel at some point, you make reference to the John Cena B Squared, I wonder, I mean, it's kind of like that, but I could see the Acclaimed being like the new age Outlaws in the next sort of 6 months. Could you see a big babyface turn for this tag team, winning the tag team championship somewhere further down the line?
I love that comparison. I think they're a bit like an MSK. I could see them being like kind of like that. I think the thing is with it is while the fans are kind of behind them, I think they're going to be too cool to boo soon. That's kind of the route they're going down. But it's really great, and it's a bit original. It's something different. No one else is doing that in wrestling at the moment. So I'm a massive fan. I hope they get a push.
Absolutely, indeed. There. Well, we'll go to the next suit that came out then, and that was the Diamonds that came to us next. Then we had Matt Hardy and Isiah Kassidy, of course, one part of Private Party, helping money Matt Hardy out. We also got Prez, number 10, Vance from the Dark Order, Nick Comoroto, which I'm hoping is saying that right, and of course Serpentico as well, which is not another easy one to say either. But yeah, it's good to have this lineup here. I mean, obviously Matt Hardy, one of the favourites coming in. Of course, he had some backup nice and early here. What were your thoughts with this lineup that we had out here?
I thought it's okay. I'm a massive fan of Nick Comoroto. I think he's got a great 80s look. Like he's a bit like a cross between Rhino or Hercules, if that makes sense. Hercules Hernandez back in the day. He's got a lot of potential. Serpentico isn't bad. Matt Hardy is okay. And Isiah Kenda, it's not a bad story. You've obviously got the beatdown of the Dark Order to a certain point, which I kind of get. They're trying to get Matt Hardy booed. But this wasn't bad. It wasn't as strong as the first half that came out, though, I'd say.
No, but I like your comparison there with Nick Comoroto, which obviously I struggle to say every single time I go to say that name. But he reminds me a bit of like a Bruiser Brody look, especially when he's got the white outfit on. I think that's really good. I think the key part to remember from this part here, I mean, Serpentico was eliminated early. I don't think Prez number 10 lasted very long either. But Nick Comoroto actually was eliminated, but then used Dustin Rhodes' cowbell to get him eliminated. It's led to what's going to be some sort of bull rope match that will be on Dynamite this upcoming week. But going then into the third set, then we got the Hearts coming out for us next, then, which gave us the Varsity Blondes, Colt Cabana, Anthony Bowens, and of course Penta El Cerro Miro. What were your thoughts of this lineup? This seemed like a very strong lineup to me coming out here.
Very, very strong. I love the crowd reaction to the Varsity Blondes based on the Brian Pillman stuff that's going on recently on TV and stuff. So, yeah, definitely like it. I enjoyed it. I thought this was a strong lineup. I think all the wrestlers are really kind of credible, and I was happy to see all these in the ring. I think it's a great selection together. It gave the match a lift because the match had been going on at that point, and this was the right people to come out to try and lift it up a bit because it had been a bit flat at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with Penta coming out, though, certainly had a bit of a Joker look going about him, didn't he? Like you say, that Brian Pillman Jr. has been so over since then. But yeah, I mean, this was a good line of it. And then just to give the final lot, then as we go closing then towards the end of the match, we got the Spades then as the last suit to come out, which we had Jungle Boy, Marq Quen, of course, as well of the Private Party tag team, Aaron Solo, Evil Uno, who was massively over, and Lee Johnson as well from obviously the Nightmare family. This was kind of a nice sort of finishing line we had here, but I was so happy to hear Jungle Boy's music hit.
Definitely, he's so over, isn't he? You can tell the fans love him; they want to cheer him. I think my only real criticism, really, from this point is I'd much rather seen Luchasaurus there instead of Lee Johnson and Aaron Swallow. I just couldn't understand why Luchasaurus wasn't in this match, but that's obviously a totally different tangent, probably.
Yeah, absolutely, because there would have been a chance that perhaps, obviously, spoiler alert, Jungle Boy is the winner of this match, but obviously you were checking this review, there's a chance you may already know that, but obviously Luchasaurus could have been in the match earlier and could have been eliminated. There's no reason why both couldn't have been the same match, so I'm totally with you of what you're saying there particularly, but as we then go towards the finish of the match, then we've kind of got 5 superstars left in the ring. Of course, some of our favourites have been eliminated, like Pentagon have been eliminated from the match, but we had Private Party and Matt Hardy, and then we had Jungle Boy and Christian Cage. These were the remaining 5 left over as we got then towards the Joker. And of course, there have been many names that have been rumored for it. Perhaps someone from Impact Wrestling. We had Nick Gage that had been rumored. I said Andrade is a potential option. But someone really outside the box was given here as the Joker. Leo Rush was given there, which of course he's been doing some work in MLW and New Japan. I was really surprised to see him. It was, for me, it was a shrewd get, because I don't think many people saw it coming. But I would say was a bit of a disappointment was that he only lasted a couple of minutes in this match. He came in and he looked like he was going to eliminate Private Party, but at the end got eliminated himself. What were your thoughts of Leo Rush coming in? Was you happy with it? And do you think he probably should have got elimination or 2 before actually being thrown out himself?
I think it's a very clever sort of cameo. No one obviously saw it coming, but for me, it was okay. I love the poison tarantula when he came in. I thought that was really, really good. I love the way he's dodging like a spider going around people and stuff. That's quite good. For me, kind of underwhelming, really. I think it's one of the things where when you've got people such as Andrade available, I don't know why you're not going for them, if that makes sense. But for me, it's okay. Really, he probably should have lasted longer. But I think the reason why he didn't last longer, ultimately, Steve, is this guy is signed to New Japan. And I think AEW only got him on a handshake deal, so they weren't going to push him anyway. The problem is if he won, they can't guarantee when he's going to be there. So I do get why he was at the match quickly. That kind of makes sense to me. That's probably the reason why Tony Khan didn't hype this Joker either. That would kind of make sense as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's usually us that's hyping it. Do you feel that unless it is going to be a CM Punk or one of these people that we were talking about, we're always going to be a bit disappointed?
I guess kind of the thing is, obviously, we knew we were never going to get Daniel Bryan. You could have everyone kind of knew that, but Andrade could have been possible. I think the thing with it is, I think them type of wrestlers of that caliber aren't going to come in a battle royal. They're going to come in off their own back. Like if CM Punk or Daniel Bryan are going to come into AEW, they're just going to turn up. You know what I mean? They're going to come in the middle of the match or something. They're not going to have to go in. I don't think their first cameo on a pay-per-view will be in a match. I think it'll be one of the things where they just appear first. They want to build that first cameo for a pay-per-view buy rate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it makes total sense indeed there. Well, as we're going in towards the closing part of the match, and of course, Private Party were next eliminated. Matt Hardy looking to try and use that old sort of TLC kind of vibes. You know, Christian, we've got history. We've gone back to previous WrestleManias. How about we team up as the experienced guys, the veterans, against the, if you want, the up-and-comer? Christian kind of took advantage of it, actually let Matt Hardy sort of walk towards and then threw him out of the ring. And of course, that left the veteran against the newcomer. It was Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy. And the fans were really behind Jungle Boy. I must admit, when I got to this point, I was sure Christian was going to actually win and outwork everyone. I thought that was the way they were going to go with the story of this match. They did a lot of close sort of ideas of both of them going over the top rope, and I thought Jungle Boy did a great sort of swing around the turnbuckle. It was almost a bit like what fits his character, the Jungle Boy style character. But in the end, it looked like he was in a pile driver position where he was going to be pile drived into the ring. He said he did a back body drop, actually taking Christian Cage out of the ring to pick up the victory. I thought this was the right move because clearly the fans were massively into this idea of the younger talent going over, Jungle Boy being the one to get that next title opportunity. And of course, as well, it's a great excuse to hear Baltimore as well with Tarzan Boy once again.
Definitely. It's a very clever move from AEW. I didn't see it coming. I thought Christian Cage all day long would win, but really, really good. It makes sense for a babyface wrestler to face Kenny Omega. I guess Jungle Boy's got that overness. I don't know if he's the man to beat Kenny Omega, but he's really over the crowd. It's great to see it. I love the way the reaction when he won. It was a great shot to me, and a lot of people, it seemed.
Absolutely. I feel exactly the same. My feeling with that is he won't win, but definitely puts him in a nice, strong position. They will have a quality match, that's for sure. And I think that because it's on Dynamite, I think Christian Cage against Kenny Omega, if that is going to happen, should be on a pay-per-view. Would you agree?
I agree. I think if they're going to do this Jungle Boy, say he's the one they want to get the belt eventually, they have to do a Daniel Bryan type storyline for me. I think that's the way you do it. You have to do a slow, long build where you give him like maybe a year of wins and stuff like that, and then he does it. But for me, it's great. It's great that he's getting this spot. He's fantastic in the ring. I just hope that he sort of makes most of the opportunity he gets against Kenny Omega.
Absolutely, indeed. We've got a few comments that come flying in, so we'll go through them just before we go to our next match from Martin Carrillo. He says, could Max Caster be the next John Cena's Thugonomics? I think, Jones, you've said already, you think so.
Yeah, I think that. Why not? I think he's cool. I think he's got that charisma. It's something different. The raps are good. They're witty. I don't know if he's writing them himself, but they're really, really good. He just needs to find someone to battle rap with now, and it could be kind of fun, really, maybe.
Absolutely, almost needs that Usos New Day kind of vibe going on, doesn't he? But I think Max Caster, time is on his side. This guy, I think, is a future top guy in AEW. I really can see the sky's the limit for the boy. I think there's a lot of potential there. With Martin Curio as well, we're saying that Penta was so over with the crowd for being a heel. Do you think a face turn is needed for Penta then?
Yeah, probably overdue. The thing is, he's so good in the ring that people want to cheer him no matter what he does. But I'd be a fan of him turning babyface, definitely.
Do you think that he's overlooked?
Yeah, I think that. I think the thing that lets him down, controversial, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, is the lack of him being able to speak English. I think that's sort of one of the things. I think AEW are reluctant to put the belt on him because he can't, unless he's got that translated with him speaking for him. That's maybe one of the reasons why he's not with the belts, if that makes sense, in my opinion.
Absolutely. No, I would agree with that. And I think obviously he's had the translator of late. I hope that eventually gives him a push. And hopefully an experience like this, Tony Khan will look and go, damn, this guy is over. We do need to start pushing him, honestly, because I think it's long overdue. But another one to comment there before we go to our next match. Then, honestly, AEW and fans overhyped the Joker to just get disappointed. But it was a decent surprise, just overhyped. Next time, they shouldn't do that, and they should just keep it low-key. Perhaps we should do that. Would you say so?
Yeah, I think that. I didn't think it was that badly hyped this time. I didn't really think, because I know when they signed Christian Cage, that was fever pitch levels of CM Punk, that type of level. But this time, at least Tony Khan wasn't on Busted Open Radio saying this signing's going to change AEW this lot. It was a sensible sort of debut, and I think it's a great addition. And the Joker really was just a stopgap. Really, let's be honest with it. It wasn't somebody that can do something long term in AEW.
No, I definitely agree there. Silk is in the chat room. Silk, thank you for joining us today. He said, evening, fellas. To be fair, Penta was Impact champion at one. Yes, of course, in Impact Wrestling, he definitely was. I think we're more referencing to All Elite Wrestling, obviously. Just want to see him get more of a push there. But like you say, he had a strong run in Impact Wrestling. Do you think that character from Impact can transition over eventually in AEW, as long as he's got that translator with him?
I'd like to see it. I really would like to see it. As I said, this guy's got all the talent in the world. It's just how he connects on them promos. It's going to be the thing. If he's in a program with somebody, I know he's got that slogan he says, like no fear in Spanish. Forgive my sort of lack of language and stuff like that. But it depends on how they get it. If they can get the crowd and connects with him, I think that's the thing. I think they're going to want somebody. The problem is with Kenny Omega, he needs somebody that can draw promos in, I think, week in, week out, really, to make it that level of a feud, which he deserves, really.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. And just to be one little nitpick for Penta, because I will just say one thing I think he needs to cut out. When he does those Sarah Mieros in the ring, I think he does too many of them. I think 2 or 3 is all right. But sometimes I've seen it almost as many super kicks that Young Bucks do in their matches. So I think he needs to cut 1 or 2 of them down. But no, I think the guy is majorly over and does need to be pushed, in my opinion. That's what I would say. But is there anything else you want to say about this Casino Battle Royale before we move to the next match?
No, please move forward.
Actually, one last thing I will ask you. Just give you a rating for it.
I would go 2 out of 5. I thought it went on too long. It was okay. Got people a spot on the pay-per-view, but for me, it was a bit flat towards the end, really.
Do you know what? I think you're not too far off the mark there, but I will go slightly higher. I'm going to go for a 2.5, but I agree with a lot of your reasoning for it. But our next match is Anthony Ogogo against Cody Rhodes. That's right. Of course, Cody Rhodes being the American Dream for this show, but I'm going to have to get a reference in a minute because he was dressed as a particular person from a TV series, but it's actually a bad guy. So I do wonder if that could be a tease something further down the road. But him and Anthony Ogogo had a match here. It was about 10 minutes long. What I'm going to say really positively about this match, because I've got 2 sides of this. Anthony Ogogo, they must have a lot of faith in the boy because he's only been, training for like 18 months. This is his 3rd match on television and he's on pay-per-view, a major pay-per-view as well, against Cody Rhodes. So you don't just, Cody doesn't wrestle anybody. But I would say that I feel that at this moment you could see that it was his 3rd match. And I don't like the fact that Cody almost defeated him so decisively. I think that was a bit of a negative. I thought, okay, I understand Cody going over, but the fact that Cody didn't even have to use crossroads, I felt to me a little bit that this was a bit too much one-sided. How were your thoughts with it?
Yeah, I think it was okay. I think Anthony Ogogo did the best he could. I think the crowd didn't react. It's almost like they didn't react to him, which was a big shame. The right person kind of went over. Cody was always going to kind of win. This is a Cody that hasn't lost since November, so it didn't surprise me. But I think the thing with it, Ogogo did have some great moments, but there were parts where he lost. It looked like Cody was having to try and carry him through the match. But that's AEW's fault for putting him in this spot, really. If he's not ready, he should be put in the spot. But I want to see this again, but I'm not too sure if I want to see a long-term program of Cody just beating Anthony Ogogo again and again. I think Anthony Ogogo needs to get some wins over some other people. I know he was 2-0. He's now obviously 2-1. It's just where they go next. Where would you like to see him go next with Anthony Ogogo? Is this somebody that they're going to push long-term or somebody that's just going to be there to do jobs to Cody?
Well, I hope not. I would like to see that he gets a push because I do think he had to put in a good performance for the time he done. I just think when he doesn't look as crisp as people that have been there for 10, 15 years in the business. Do you know what I mean? That's what I kind of felt. That's what.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I think the thing with it is obviously he's a legitimate athlete, Olympian. He's won a bronze medal at Olympics, stuff like that. Usually these type of people take to wrestling really, really well. It's going to be a big, interesting test to see once he's more seasoned whether he can be as good as like a Kurt Angle or something like that has been in the Olympics before.
I certainly think he's got the potential. I would say that this early. I definitely think he's got the potential. Let's see if it will do. But I mean, Silk saying here that Cody overbooking himself again. I would have to agree with the way that sort of went towards the end there. The thing is as well that Cody, just to go back on it, it was Homelander from the series The Boys, and Homelander is a bad guy when Cody Rhodes is supposed to be the American Dream. So I wonder if there is something in that, whether Cody will go heel long term. But the fact that Cody, kind of almost no-sowed these punches that were putting people down and knocking them out. Do you feel that kind of damages the Ogogo character at this point? Are we going to have to repackage?
Yes.
Well, not repackage, but almost like start again.
Yeah, I think it didn't do anything for Ogogo. I think it made Ogogo look really sort of weak, which is a shame. But they were just two totally different types of wrestlers, if that makes sense. They're totally different tangents. Like Cody's obviously up there in terms of AEW's priorities. Ogogo's kind of there. He's a rookie starting up. But for me, it didn't do any favors. The only good thing about it is that he can take the experience he's had in the room from Cody and move forward with it. At least he's been in front of a pay-per-view crowd, and that's an experience for him to move forward on. But this guy has got a lot of potential. It'd be great to see a Britt do really well in AEW. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because we have Pac already, but I mean, Anthony Ogogo, such a young talent. There's a lot of time ahead of him. Let's hope it's a positive thing. But of course, one last question just before we move on. Fans have been very negative on Twitter regarding this match, comparing Cody to Triple H. Triple H was even trending on Twitter while Double or Nothing was on in comparison to what was being said about Cody. Do you see that with Cody? As we've been saying there, Silk said overbooking himself again. Cody has put a lot of people over on other AEW pay-per-views, but was this the right time for him to go over, or should he have done the job here and put the new guy over?
I think he should have put the new guy over. Obviously, this is a Cody that hasn't had the AEW TNT Championship since November, where he dropped at Full Gear. For me, I think Cody winning doesn't do anything really for Cody. If Anthony Ogogo would have got a shot win there, I think it would have been talking point. I think Anthony Ogogo's off to the races. You could also give Cody a win back at the next event, if that makes sense. It kind of makes sense. But missed opportunity. They should have gone for Anthony Ogogo here to win. He's a new character. He was 2-0. This was the spot really to get him the big win, really, because this feud between the Factory and Cody Rhodes, it's very one-sided.
Yeah, I think that's the real problem, because where does it go from here? Like Cody, if he beats everybody, like it's almost like Goldberg doing this streak in WCW. It's not, eventually no one's going to get over if Cody keeps beating all these young guys, because that's the thing I like about the Factory is that there's a lot of young talent in amongst that group with QT Marshall. But we've got Martin Guerrero says Anthony Ogogo should have won, but Cody did what they could, and what could they do after this? He defeated QT, defeated Ogogo. If Dustin beats Comoroto as well, but the Factory, it didn't work. Yeah, like you say, it would be a clean sweep overall, and I think that's something that we look negatively from this. But overall, it is what it was. I'm very pleased Anthony Ogogo got this opportunity, got this spot. Let's hope that he can regroup and he can be presented as as a top guy as time goes on, as you said earlier on, as he gets more seasoned. But we'll move on to the next match. But before we do, Jonesy, I'm forgetting to do this a lot today. Give your rating for us.
I think I'll go 2.5 out of 5 in this match.
I'm going to go for a 2.5 for me. Like you say, I think we agree with a lot of the points on it. But let's see what we're going to think as we go in towards Miro versus Lance Archer for the TNT Championship. Obviously, this match, two big beefy men doing big beefy things in AEW and throwing each other about. Lance Archer being thrown into the crowd overhead, belly to belly. There was a fun spot as well where we see Lance Archer walking the top rope like Undertaker-esque, doing a moonsault as well to land on Miro. You don't see many big guys doing that. Jake the Snake Roberts, it was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to Jake Roberts. He did make an appearance, but unfortunately he was going to try and get his snake involved. But Miro instead, I should be careful when I say get his snake involved. Obviously, he's actual Jake the Snake. But Miro actually took the bag. I'm sure there wasn't a real snake in there. Actually threw it down the entranceway. That was a real shocking moment. What were your thoughts, actually, before we go to the finish there when you saw that moment? I kind of did an OMG moment.
Yeah, I was a bit like, oh my God, I can't believe they've done that. But obviously, it's not real. So the fact they did it, but if you suspend your disbelief, it's proper heel heat. Like, it's proper like, I was at the TV thinking, arsehole. That's a kind of, I'm sorry if I'm not cursive, but I was thinking, what an arsehole. Like, you kind of look at it, Miro is just so sort of, just shows it was almost like the bullying. We'd never seen Lance Archer be bullied like this. The fact he's bullying Jake the Snake as well, it's proper heel heat, but this fits the Rusev character, the Miro character, in my opinion. I think it's really, really good. It fits the character. And the way it got the heat off the crowd, what a throw by Miro. He should be shot put in. He should be in the Olympics, I think, with that throw.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree with that. And obviously, as we go towards the finish there, Miro actually does use his game over submission, a variation of it as well, where he's leaned back into the ring. He's started doing that more recently, and I think it's been used to great effect, and Lance Archer passing out. Do you think that this was the right way to do it with the submission pass out, or should it have been more like a pinfall?
I always think the Accolade was such a big move in WWE that for me, I think it's the way to go. They wanted to make this a dominating win for Miro. Miro's not long had the belt. This guy looks legitimately unstoppable. It was the kind of right move for me, I guess. It was one of the things. Either way, Miro had to win. I think you want to get that finisher over. You want to make that finisher as deadly as the mandible claw back in the day. You want it to be one where, oh no, the Accolade's on now. There's no going back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. Then I have to agree with that wholeheartedly. Jeff Samuel in the house saying, "Sup, SCW, how are you doing? Hope you're doing very well, Jeff." And Martin Carrera saying that he felt this match was way too short. Archer's lost himself since November, losing to Moxley. This is the problem with Archer. I mean, he's got the look, he's got the presence, but I mean, I'd even argue that it's been the last 12 months when he was in the TNT final against Cody for the first ever championship there. He hasn't been booked quite right in AEW. Is there something, what can they do to fix that for Lance Archer? Because he's losing every big match he gets.
There's 2 points. The first point, I'd say he lost himself since he turned babyface. The minute he turned babyface, when him and Jake were heels, it worked really, really well. But the minute he turned babyface, he kind of became a bit more weaker, in my opinion, the way they booked him generally. How to fix it? I think you've got to go full hog. I think you've got to turn him back to a heel. I think you've got to have him kind of get rid of Jake Roberts. And this guy needs to go on a winning streak. I think he needs to start beating people. I know you've got a lot of these, you're potentially going to have 3 AEW shows now. So let's have him win some matches, if that makes sense. I think this match on paper, it was a dream match for me to see, but I think it was silly, really. There was no positive outcome for Lance Archer going against Miro at this point. It was just one of them ones where I think it wasn't going to do any good for Lance Archer, really, unfortunately.
No,
it's just a match to book it, basically.
Yeah, I have to agree with all those points there. I think you're spot on with everything you say there. And I mean, for Lance Archer, I mean, with Jake Roberts, usually a lot of the time he's holding him back, stopping, doing stuff. Could that be used into storyline? You've held me back too long. Actually, me not being able to take advantage and being like that, the Motor Hog monster that I want to be. Is that's what's stopping him getting to the next level, and getting rid of Jake Roberts would be an essential part in turning heel?
Yeah, I think the thing with it, Jake Roberts, I think his early work, obviously, he's always been one of the best charismatic wrestlers in wrestling, like his promos and stuff. But for me, that side's not so apparent anymore. He's not doing that anymore. So I think Lance Archer needs to be out on his own. I think this whole thing of holding him back, we need to get Lance Archer back to the guy that just doesn't care, that just wants to basically destroy everything. Because this Miro Lance Archer match, if they book it properly, give it 6 or 7 months, it could be a much more competitive match, I think. And I think it'd be a match that I'd want to see again if Lance Archer's coming in at the same level.
Yeah, I would have to agree with a lot of that there. Just to say very quick here, we've got a few comments flying in, so we'll touch on those comments there before we go to the next match. Give Lance Archer a character now at this point and a new theme, repackage him. Do you think the theme needs to change, or are you happy with the theme?
There's only so much a theme music can do, really. If the character's kind of boring and dull, I'll be up for a total new repackaging. If you think the theme needs to be fixed, then yes. But if he's got a new theme music and he's still losing week in, week out, it's probably not going to help, is it?
No, absolutely not. We've got Randy Sam in the house as well. It says, sup, SCW and Jonesy. He's asked if it's just AEW. Yes, this is the review show for Double or Nothing 2021. So it's strictly AEW here, going through the matches, match by match. But feel free to add your thoughts from the show if you want to at any point. And we've got a comment here from Silk also saying, Archer being booked to fail at the final hurdle every time. I think that's summed up perfectly there, isn't it?
Yeah, he's hit the nail with the hammer there. I think definitely every time that Archer looks like he's going to get a belt or get something, he just can't quite get the job done. Unfortunately,
it seems to be the way right now. And Jeff Samuel, just before we go on to our next match, then Leo Rush debut was fun. Man, the matches Leo can have: Leo versus Ray Phoenix versus Penta, Matt Jackson, Hangman Page. If we have the opportunity to have those matches for Leo Rush, would you like to see them?
That'd be great. I think Leo Rush and Rin is great. I just question sort of how much AEW are going to be able to use him with his New Japan deal.
I think that's the topic there. But I think both Jones and I agree, Jeff, that those would be some amazing matches. But just before we go on to the next match of the evening, we need to ask that question, which I almost forgot once again. What is your rating for Miro versus Lance Archer, the TNT Championship match?
I think I'll go 2.5 out of 5 again. I think it was okay. They didn't get very long. Crucially, the right result was there. The psychology in parts was good. I love the heel heat, as I said for Miro earlier. For me, it was just a drubbing, really. It was always it was one of the most clear results of the night. But yeah, 2.5 out of 5 for me, Steve.
Yeah, I'm going to go same. And not to be a parrot, but I agree with all your points. So let's not waste any time and get straight to the next match for the AEW Women's Championship. And of course, we're talking Hikaru Shida against the Doctor, D.M.D, Britt Baker. And we finally got Britt Baker as the AEW Women's World Champion. I did quite enjoy this match. I thought this match there was a lot of hype on this match because I felt that for a point, I thought that the fans were a little bit quieter for the previous two matches. The second they got to say DMD, I felt that the energy came back into the room here. I mean, Hikaru Shida tried to put on quite a good effort throughout the match, but there always seemed to be something that Britt Baker could do to turn things back round. She was hitting a lot of her sort of strong moves quite early, but she couldn't sort of get that submission that she wanted to. Hikaru Shida always finding a way to escape that. Rebel got herself, or Reba, no, it's Rebel, not Reba. It's very easy when they keep changing it. Got herself ejected from ringside, of course. She was trying to use the crutch, which actually backfired at one point as well. But then we got to a point where she was being thrown out. The ref was distracted, and Britt Baker actually managing to use that championship to her advantage. And eventually she did get a submission hold in to pick up the victory and become the AEW Women's World Champion at last. DMD is so over with the crowd right now. It feels like she's got potential to be what I feel is a megastar. She reminds me of something back in the 90s getting over. So organic, so well timed, and the championship change has happened at the right time, in my opinion. Jonesy, what do you think now? The sky has to be the limit for Britt Baker. We've finally got her as champion.
100% one of the best moves AEW made. We've been waiting for this to happen for months. I think the rebuilding of Britt Baker following her loss to Thunder Rosa earlier in the year has been really, really good. Crucially, Hikaru Shida, she's obviously had the belt for a year. It's a solid title run for Hikaru Shida. This was the right result. The match was okay in parts, but to be fair, she could have done a match with just chin locks for half an hour. If that was the result, I'd have been happy either way. It's really, really kind of good. It's a great outcome. Britt Baker, for me, she needs to go on and be the biggest heel in AEW's women's division now. I think they need to continue that. I want to see her have a run similar to kind of Shida. Shida had the belt for a year. Britt Baker, for me, let's hope she has the belt for a similar run, because there's nobody else in AEW I think that could take the belt off her at the moment. It's even near.
No. I would agree with you. I mean, the thing is, you have to look at with Britt Baker right now. She's so over, and it feels like her journey from start to finish, it's organically got over. I mean, she got injured along the way. She had her nose broken. She got taken out when she was supposed to be, I believe, at Double or Nothing last year. She's come back and she's slowly got herself into that way. But she's developed the character. She's developed the attitude. She's got every credential that's got there to make her a top player in AEW. And I just think to myself at this point, like you said, that the storylines could be fantastic. Give her a long, lengthy reign. Britt Baker could be one of the faces, if not the face, not just of the women's division, but the whole of AEW.
I agree. I tell you what I would do. A dream for me, if I was booking this, I don't know how viable this is. There's only one other person I think that can put a challenge to Britt Baker, really, maybe not straight away, but if the time's there and it's allowed and the storylines improve, Deonna Purrazzo. That's the only other woman I'd love to see face Britt Baker. I'm not saying she'll beat Britt Baker, but there's a real potential now, this Impact AEW feud, to do women versus women. I don't know why that hasn't been explored yet, and I think for me, I can imagine the money matches them two would have. That's for sure. It's wishful thinking, though, definitely on my part.
Wishful thinking, but I tell you what, I really do hope it does happen. We've got a few comments flying in, so let's just quickly go with them. D.M.D. It's as simple as that from Silk there. Loving your work with that one there. Jeff Samuel, I think this was the last match. You gave it a 2.5 out of 5 for his rating. Thank you for that. Feel free to throw your ratings in, everyone, as we go through the ratings on the matches. And also, Martin Career saying this match was solid in his opinion, but why they presented the new design title on Friday for Shida to lose it 2 days later? Shouldn't have AEW just brought that title in actually for this match? I mean, that's a good argument there. It feels like the reason they did that was because they wanted to make it seem a big deal that Shida had held the title for so long. It just seems to be that it was actually unlucky for her, because when she had the other belt, she was always winning. This one ended up being the unlucky one because she lost it on her first defense.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's almost like a jinx belt, but no, definitely. I think they just want to get that out there that this match was happening on the pay-per-view really more than anything, probably. But it was just such a fun sort of moment to that title haul for Britt Baker. It's about time it happened, and it's one of the things that I'm a massive fan of. I hope they do more things like this.
Absolutely. And just one last question before we go to the rating. Marq asks what our thoughts of the new design of that title. For obviously, we've got the diamond studs in there, and the title seems to be a bit bigger because I thought the belt was too small before. I like this. It seems to be, I think it's an improvement. I'm really happy with it. What are your thoughts?
I think it looks very suave, very smart. I think it really fits Britt Baker perfectly. So yeah, I'm a massive fan of it. I think it looks
Absolutely. Good. Absolutely. So what's your rating of this then?
I think I'll go 3 out of 5. I think it was okay. They did what they could. Rebel was an interesting element, getting involved and stuff. But yeah, I think it was fun. It was quite hard hitting, and yeah, it's just good to see a new champion. Crucially,
Absolutely,
right result.
Definitely. I'm going to give this a 3.5. I enjoyed it. One of the matches I was most looking forward to in the evening, and I think for the most part, I think it massively delivered. So I was really happy with it. So 3.5 for me. But we'll go to our next match. And I think the first question we have to say, we have a comment that's come flying in. We will actually touch on that very quickly just before we go on Sting and Darby Allin. Actually, is what next for Shida? We will ask that question as we were kind of still on that last match. So what were your thoughts on with Shida now? Does she go back to the bottom of the barrel, or does she go for a rematch, or does she have programs with different people?
I think she has a break. That's what I think. I think that this is designed really to get her off TV for a while. But when she comes back, she does need to start at the bottom. They have got a ranking system. So this is the point. I don't think they should be going to Britt Baker versus Shida again and again, really.
No, I actually wouldn't mind seeing her go. Actually, you said about the idea of Deonna Purrazzo. I wouldn't mind Shida doing the Forbidden Door and going against her at Slammiversary. That's what I would.
That'd be amazing.
Like to see.
That'd be so good.
I think personally, I think that's a money match there. Randy Sanmason does Shida turn heel now? I don't think so. I like Shida as a babyface. I mean, unless fans start to really turn on her, I would keep a babyface. How about you, Jonesy?
There's only one heel in AEW Women's Division. It's got to be Britt Baker for me, unless they're going to do a double turn. But yeah, Shida shouldn't turn heel. I don't think it will work as a heel. I don't know if she's got that charisma to pull off a heel turn, in all honesty.
No, I think it could struggle if he goes heel right now. But just actually one more question before we go into Sting and Darby Allin there. We said that about Britt Baker being so over. Does there come a point that she has to also turn babyface?
Maybe, but then you have to get rid of Rebel. It's one of the things I don't really know sort of how it will kind of work. The whole point of her character, besides her fantastic wrestling ability, is the arrogance of her being a dentist and lecturing people. I think if she's babyface, I don't know how that works really. I think eventually maybe she'll turn babyface, but she's going to have a good heel opponent. That's the thing. They're going to have to bring somebody in to the AEW Women's Division that everybody hates. That they build up to hate, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with that. And I would keep her as heel for now. Perhaps eventually will have to happen. Maybe she has that sort of attitude as a babyface, could really be a top star eventually, but I wouldn't do it anytime just yet. I think we've just started there. And you say we've got more babyfaces that she can go through in the meantime. We've not really got many other heels. So Britt Baker gets like Ty Conti. You've got like Red Velvet. There's so many people. Riho now she's back. There's so many matches that you can do. So I would like to see that rather than always doing the Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose. I've seen it a few times. I don't really need to see it again. But let's actually move on then. We did say about Sting and Darby Allin. I've even threw the graphic up and we've not mentioned them yet against All Ego, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. I really enjoyed this match. Has Sting still got it? Yes, he has, I have to say there, because I thought Sting did an amazing performance. This, again, it was a brawl before things even kicked off. And we saw the fact actually that Sting absolutely no-sold a move, a suplex down the aisle on Scorpio Sky. We saw where Sting was standing behind him. You saw that great visual of Scorpio knowing, like, there's someone breathing down my neck. Turning around, being thrown off of that podium. And then afterwards, actually Sting flying off there with a high cross body. Did you think you'd see that from a guy like that?
No, definitely not. Sting's obviously in his 60s. Unbelievable cameo to see him here. One of the great 90s stars. But no, definitely fun. Surprised they went to this type of match because obviously they had that pre-match before where it was recorded where they could edit. But no, this is really good. Sting didn't look out of place, which is crucial. I think for me, my only thing with it is I'd love to see Darby get the pin because I don't know how long Sting's going to be there. But it was the right result. It's a great feel-good story. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
It really was fun. I like the way the story played out in the match as well, because there was a time where Darby Allin was being beaten on. The fact is as well that he when even Sting got the opportunity was going to come in, he wasn't allowed in. Audrey Edwards didn't see that the tag had been made. So we were delayed for that hot tag. And I think when we got it, fans were really up for it. One spot before that I really loved, and it brought me back to ECW days with Bam Bam Bigelow and Spike Dudley. The fact that Ethan Page picked up Darby Allin and threw him into the crowd. And obviously Darby Allin's brothers were there as well. I thought this was a terrific spot for younger fans that hadn't seen those old ECW days. I thought was absolutely incredible. I really enjoyed that.
Definitely. I think the thing with it is Darby, no matter what type of match, he's always going to put his body on the line. This guy, as I said on other streams, he's Mick Foley of 2021. I swear, this guy, he's got a death wish. Some of the stuff he does, it's a great bump. I think the fact that getting the family involved and stuff. But yeah, no, I think it's really good. I think Darby's clearly taken a lot of sort of rub from Stin in this sort of partnership, which is really, really good to see. I love it. I think this was a really, really good kind of match.
Yeah, it really was. And obviously, as we get towards the finish there, Scorpio Sky, it's looking like he was going to go over the top rope to hit a cutter in ring, but he was caught by Sting as it was going down. We got the Scorpion Death Drop and Sting picking up the victory. Like you said, you would have preferred Darby getting it. I think for the fact that it was Sting's first in-ring match for like over 6 years, a proper match, I was happy he got the pin. But I do agree with you going forward. I want to see Darby pick up more of the victories. But I can see this being a team that goes for the Tag Team Championships, potentially all out. Sting and Darby Allin against the Young Bucks. Do we book it?
Yeah, okay. Question. I think it could be good. Obviously the Young Bucks have got to go over. I don't know whether Sting's body can hold up to the schedule. Like if they are tag team champions, it may be like a WWE reference, an AJ Styles and almost tandem where they just don't defend the belt. If that makes sense. Like I'd like to see it. It could be a fun match. I think the Young Bucks will be great opponents. Yeah, maybe it will happen. I don't think I see it. I think this Sting and Darby Allin thing. I think Sting's mainly going to be there for the pay-per-view appearances and then to mentor Darby, if that makes sense. I could see Darby going back to probably the TNT Championship again or something like that, probably.
Absolutely, indeed. Then, well, we've got hundreds of comments in, but just before we do, we're going to get a rating on this match. There, what your rating of this match?
I think I'll go 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I think that's spot on there. I give 3.5 out of 5, and I thought it was really good that Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky got this opportunity as well. I mean, you have to look at it and say, for them, that's got to be a dream to be going against Sting. It really has to be. So, yeah, we've got a number of comments flying in here, so we're going to go from bottom to top here. We've got Off the Ropes podcast. Felt that Sting and Darby match didn't give him the feeling that he wanted. I'd love you to elaborate on what you was hoping for and what you didn't get from it. Perhaps maybe a sense of disappointment there, but would love to know why. So please do let me know in the comments there, Off the Ropes podcast. But thank you for checking out the stream. Jeff Samuel saying Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page got a new theme as a tag team. Yeah, I noticed that as well. It was a cool, decent match, Sting and Darby versus the Bucks for the tag belts now, which I suggested a minute ago. Good to see that you agree with it there. I think that could be quite fun to see. Silk is saying that if there's one person that I would hate to get on the bad side of, it's referee Audrey. Yeah, I would. Would you not want? I wouldn't want to get on her bad side. Would you?
She's scary. That's for sure.
She does seem scary indeed. Martin Correa saying that talking about the most random tag team, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Honestly, gotta be honest. These grown men bullying a child is disrespectful. I missed that. Did that happen, James? Did you see that?
I'm guessing they must have bullied somebody in the crowd. Maybe I can't say maybe I witnessed that, but obviously it happened. If Martin said it happened. But I think it's just getting heel heat. Really, they've got to do what they can to get the heel heat up. They knew that Sting and Darby were going to get cheers, particularly Sting. Sting's so over. Still.
Absolutely, indeed. Yeah, no, I have to agree with that. And Martin does go on to say, jokes aside, that this team is random. They didn't gain anything when Sting threw Sky to Page, and then they made Page wait a minute for the spot, which was really, but was a real fun match still, regardless. 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it is a random team here. We've got Sky and Page, but do you think that they could go on to make something of this after this?
I think so. I think the thing with it is Ethan Page obviously has been a great tag team wrestler, obviously formerly in the North in Impact Wrestling, as you've said on other streams. I've said that this guy is always a great tag team wrestler. Scorpio Sky wasn't a bad tag team wrestler. It just depends on where they go. I don't know whether this team will have a fallout now because they couldn't get the job done. That may be something they do on TV. But for me, I want to see them continue tagging because if either of them go on a singles kind of run, I could see them getting lost, unfortunately, despite them being really talented.
Yeah, that's the thing right now. There's so many people in the singles division that perhaps maybe the tag team division works for them right now. And I know Scorpio Sky actually has not got so long left on his contract in AEW unless he's re-signed. So we'll have to see what happens as things go later down the line. But we've got lots of more Britt Baker comments, Jonesy. So we're going to have to go back to the doctor. D.M.D is the most over thing right now. Over the Top Rope podcast saying Britt Baker finally gets what's rightfully hers. We do agree. And as well, we've got another comment here. And thank you very much for checking out the stream. A hill that you to hate the debut of Tessa Blanchard. What about Tessa, actually? Tessa against Britt Baker. Would that be something you'd want to see?
That'd be fun. Like, I think it would be really, really good. I think from an in-ring perspective, it would just be fun. But yeah, I can't see AEW taking that risk, to be fair. She seems to be, everyone don't want to book her. Like, nobody wants her, unfortunately, which is a shame.
Yeah, I mean, she's such a talent, but there must be a reason.
A lot of baggage.
Yeah, I think that's the right word for it, baggage, because, I mean, it's been a full calendar year that she's not been with Impact nearly, and to think she's still not been signed up when she's had the freedom to do so must say something. But hey, we're speculating here. But one more from Silk, revisit Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. Would love to see it. I don't see Thunder Rosa doing it because she's signed to NWA, but certainly this is a match I'd love to see. I'm a big Thunder Rosa fan. Jonesy?
I love the matches they've had before. I think we've seen it quite a few times, so I don't think they'll do it again. I think what you are looking about, this is just thinking about this, I think Britt Baker, look for her to have a match with one of the new signings when the WWE wrestlers that were released are available to talk to people. Maybe somebody like the Iconics or something like that. There's definitely going to be AEW signing some of them wrestlers, which could be a potential challenger for Britt Baker.
Absolutely, and I'll probably jump in the gun with one of these here, but legends seem to be coming in. Of course, Mark Henry is the latest one that's signed with AEW. And just before we touch on that moment, maybe someone like Mickie James would be a good option. That'd
be fantastic. Yeah, what a match that'd be. Britt Baker, Mickie James, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? Imagine the rub that Britt Baker would get from learning from Mickie James. Not she needs it.
No, not at all. And obviously, Mark Henry, then he's signed. He's going to be an analyst and a coach for AEW. He'll be an analyst on the new show, AEW Rampage, that starts in August. This was a shock, but I was really pleased to see it. I mean, it's another long-term legend from WWE actually going over to AEW. Is this telling us something?
Yeah, I don't really it was definitely a shock. It's nice to see him now. I like his work on Busted Open Radio. For me, it's just interesting WWE letting these people just leave. Like, it's almost like you think these guys have got legend deals and stuff like that. But it's not the type of signing really that's going to move ratings, in my opinion. I think it's obviously he's only going to do commentary. There is hints that he wants to get back in the ring. That's obviously been kind of hinted, but let's see what happens with it. It's an interesting sign. It's not exactly as big as the time they signed John Moxley. They're not getting them type of signings out of WWE at the moment because of contracts.
No, absolutely. Like you say, it's a Legends contract. It's someone that's coming in that's going to be doing commentary. It's someone that's going to be coaching. That's not really the role for him to go and be main eventer. So, but still, I still think it's a big surprise. But I mean, obviously, like you say, we'll see how it plays out, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it does go. And we're going to have one more shout here from Britt Baker before we go into the AEW Championship. Could we get Breaker versus Conti? I personally would love to see it. A big Ty Conti fan. How about you, Jonesy?
That would be a fantastic match. I hope they book it.
I really do. Hopefully, we maybe get to the midpoint in between the next pay-per-view or even the next pay-per-view. And we've got Silk actually with another one here. A Legends deal with WWE basically means that meets and greets at Mania. Yeah, pretty much. It doesn't feel like that you get so much out of it. Maybe Mark Henry wanted to do more at this particular point. But yeah, he said he's going to give his reasoning on Busted Open Radio tomorrow, Jonesy. Would that be something you'd be looking to check out?
Yeah, I'll have to give it a listen. I'm sure it'll be very interesting to hear.
Absolutely. Let's move, though, in the meantime, to the AEW World Championship. That's right. We're talking Kenny Omega, the belt collector. Actually came out with all belts on this show, taking on Pac versus Orange Cassidy. This match went about 27 minutes, and I thought this was an epic encounter because it had character, it had story development, it had the desperation of Kenny Omega, the workhorse of Pac, the laziness of Orange Cassidy, realizing that he wasn't close with a 1 count, even though he gave that sign to everybody. Realized he had to go to another level. We got the Don Callis on commentary, who was just panicking. And I really like the idea. Taz did it earlier, and Don Callis did it here, really emphasizing where they're really behind their guys. It really adds to the level of the match along with the fandom. I thought that it was fantastic, but particularly the final third of this match, I really, really enjoyed. I enjoyed a moment where it looked like both Orange Cassidy and Kenny Omega were going to do the nip up, and we got the 450 from Pac. I thought that was a really cool spot. But as we got towards the finish, Don Callis realized here that he was getting desperate. Kenny Omega wasn't going to retain that championship. He had to come down and pull the referee out of the ring. And it got to a point as well then where Kenny Omega actually had to do almost the same thing. He saw Pac wasn't going to release his sort of Rings of Saturn submission hold. So as he couldn't release that hold there, he decided to knock out the referee instead. And this gave him an opportunity to use championship belt after championship belt to make attacks on Pac and Orange Cassidy. And eventually we see Pac was knocked out from so many shots with those belts. Cassidy managing to come back involved here to get a roll-up, but then after that, Kenny Omega managed to reverse that roll-up and then actually got himself a 1-2-3 and escaping with that championship. And of course, that brought the Bucks and the Good Brothers down to actually celebrate together as Kenny Omega went backstage. So this was an epic encounter, in my opinion, one of the matches of the night. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was a really good triple threat. I think even though the result was apparent, everyone kind of knew the result. For me, it was really exciting. There was a lot of teasing that you may think Orange Cassidy could do it when no one thought it, but love it. I love the arrogance of Omega. I love Don Callis getting involved. It told a really good story. The brutality of it was good. Loads of weapons as well, which was kind of interesting to see. The fact they had so many weapons and stuff. But this was a fun match. It just showed sort of how solid it was. But Omega, this guy looks unstoppable, doesn't he, at the moment?
Absolutely. I mean, you spoke off air, like at the moment, who is the more unstoppable one, Kenny Omega or Roman Reigns? I think the question to ask is who will drop their championship first?
That's the question. Are we talking about the AEW title or the Impact title? That's the thing, or just generally?
Well, let's go with AEW title because I
AEW.
think probably that's the one that Kenny Omega will probably care about more losing at this stage politely to Impact Wrestling fans.
I can't see anybody in AEW beating Kenny Omega at the moment. Like, I just couldn't tell you who I think is credible enough to get that win. The thing is, while they've got this stable in the numbers, it's probably not going to happen. But for me, I think Omega is one of the best workers in wrestling. I think he's fantastic. I think his work ever since signing from AEW has been a breath of fresh air. And I think ever since he's had the belt, since he won it off John Moxley, he's been really, really good fun. And he just gets better and better. Every match I've seen him in, it's credible. This just shows what they can do if you book someone right. Look at Pat, for example. Pat was a foul WWE cruiserweight, if that makes sense. And in AEW, he's a big deal. Same with Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is equivalent of like a Zack Ryder. When you look at him in kind of this spot, the fact they're in this main event, or not the main event, the semi-main event position for a world title, and you actually think they've got a chance, it's fantastic booking. It tells great stories. It's a bit like an ECW triangle match. This was for me. It really worked.
Yeah, it really did work. This is the first time I remember AEW doing this, and I hope that this isn't the last time. I really enjoyed this match. I think it's a solid one. But to give a rating for it, what would you rate it?
I think I'll go 4 out of 5. I think it did everything it needed to do. I love the weapons involvement. I think it's always a bit more dodgy. Don Callis, I'm really liking the heel heat he does. I love the way he came running off commentary. That was good fun. And I just loved it. I think it's funny. I think a funny note is when Jim Ross said something about, Pac's representing Wales, and he has to get corrected like a minute later or 2 minutes later. I just think it's really fun. But great match, guys. 4 out of 5, definitely.
I'm going to go for a 4 as well, I think. 4.25, actually. 4.25 out of 5. I think for me, this just shaded match of the night. I really, really enjoyed this one. But we've got loads of comments in here, and I will split the chat room up in a minute with a question I'm going to ask. But let's go through all the ones we've got. Martin Carrera says, I guess AEW wants to break the ring now. They've got a young and up-and-comers in Marq Henry and Paul White. That would be quite entertaining, wouldn't it? I mean, that's a throwback. Is that 2010 or 2011? I think it's 2011 Marq Henry had his championship reign. And Silk also coming out and says the fact that Kenny had to beat the ref as Pac wouldn't break the submission. Chef's kiss. Yeah, absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great spot there. Did you as well, George? Yeah,
it's clever. Very clever.
And Martin says Crazy Omega used all his titles onto Pac and pinned Cassidy, but a fluke, great match. 4.5 out of 5 for him. It was that well loved. And also Silk going to say personally loved Orange Cassidy. With this amazing display, does this mean at some point in maybe the next 5 years we could see Orange win the AEW World Championship?
Yes, on a Daniel Bryan type storyline, yeah, I think 100%. I think they'll do it. Clearly, he's much more over than I give him credit for. This guy is a good worker. The character work's interesting, and even with his big win over Jericho in the Masopa Man, that wine match, or if that makes sense, orange match. Sorry, I forgot the name of it at the moment. I can't really actually say it. You know the one I'm talking about where there was the orange bath, basically.
Yeah, Miss Mosa
match. Mosa match. Yeah, I think that they could definitely do that with Orange Cassidy because the crowd really love him. He's over as well, which is really, really good to see.
Absolutely. I think right now he's at TNT level. Not that I think he would beat Miro at this point, but I think that's his level. But I think, like you say, in the next 5 years, why not? I think it definitely could happen. Let's go with that last question you had there, Jonesy, before we go to the main event. You asked me off set, and we'll do it on set. Who is better than right now, Roman Reigns or Kenny Omega?
Roman Reigns. I think the thing with it is the different problems. I think the thing with it is Roman Reigns is constantly sort of in matches where he's able to get 5 stars out of people. Kenny Omega is as well. When we look at Kenny Omega, I think Kenny Omega's lack of defending the Impact Wrestling title, like it's a secondary title. It's not even mentioned on AEW. It's not like he mentions it at all. I think that really hinders him. But that's not him. That's the booking. But I'd have to say Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is one of the most protected wrestlers in wrestling. He hasn't sort of lost a match since 2019. He's got a far better win record than Kenny Omega. And I think for me, Roman, I'm afraid. Although Kenny's great. He's fantastic.
I think it's a very close call when you ask that question. I refuse to answer it off air, but I guess I have to answer it on air.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say I couldn't tell you who's going to get the belt off either. I wouldn't be able to tell you now. Honestly, if I had to put my own money on a bet, who's going to beat both for the title, I couldn't tell you because it's really, really hard.
No, neither could I. I couldn't either. I think Roman but I think Kenny Omega's doing an amazing job right now. We've been everywhere. He's everywhere, literally. He's even teased that he wants now the IWTV Championship now that Will Ospreay's had to forfeit it. Could you see Omega actually doing Japan as well, juggling in his schedule?
I think it's only so much he can do. I think the thing is his focus and bread and butter has got to be AEW. That's kind of where he's earning his money. I think Japan is fine. He was great as a cleaner in Japan before, but I don't know how reluctant AEW would be for him to go to Japan, particularly if they really do this New Japan deal. I think that could also be questionable.
Yeah, absolutely. Silka's going to say that Kenny's been so good since forever, but seeing this side to him is opening people's eyes to how good he can be. I have to agree with that 100%. And one question for Martin Carrillo saying, would these small guys work in WWE? Maybe Cassidy. I personally think they would all fail. I don't mean that horribly, but until they become actual major stars, like I think MJF could possibly work, but I don't think so otherwise.
I think the thing with Orange Cassidy, has he got the technical ability of a Daniel Bryan? Although he's got the lovable factor, everyone loves him and gets behind him because of the comedy values. Can a comedy character become a world champion? That's kind of the big question, really, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so. And that's something hopefully we'll learn in time whether it'll work or not. But Margarita says Roman has it all to be hated. Kenny Omega needs more promo work. He could get solid heat, though, as Roman. I think he does get a lot of solid heel heat, though. And let's go to the final question before the main event then. Kenny Omega only left with the AEW Championship. They didn't collect all the other belts. Is that disrespectful to the other companies?
Yeah, the whole relationship, as we spoke on the Rated R for Wrestling stream, we did a stream a while ago where there's quite a big discussion point about how the relationship of AEW and Impact has been disastrous. For me, the Impact Wrestling is a secondary title. I think it doesn't do anything. And this was the point really on this pay-per-view. If this was a serious feud, this was a serious promotional sort of venture that they're both under, this is where you need somebody from Impact Wrestling, whether it's Rich Swann or somebody's come out and attack Kenny Omega. You want to get that over, but it's never ever mentioned, and it's a secondary title, unfortunately, which is very disappointing for Impact Wrestling. I think the only time that will change, this is a big wish on my part, is if they get Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is one I could see them going for at Impact Wrestling if he's cleared, and I think Samoa Joe, Kenny Omega could be fun, and I think that's one who'll get the belt off Samoa Joe or off Kenny Omega for Impact Wrestling. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. No. I think you're bang on the money with Joe there. And Silk says he thought one of the Bucks picked one of them up. Maybe I missed that if that was the case, but maybe I did feel like they had the tag belts as well, but I could be wrong with that. I'd need to go and watch that back. But Silk, I'll take your word for it. If they pick one of that, I would hold that back. But I still would have liked to have seen him just have all of the belts on him. Like, I think that would have been just a nice visual. You know what I mean? But, like you said, unless it was his tag title, I'm not sure which one it was. Maybe I need to go and watch that part back. But we will just give our final thoughts then on the main event of the show, which happened to be this. Of course, it's the Stadium Stampede match there, the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle. Of course, if Inner Circle were to lose, they would break up. This was very different from the first Stadium Stampede. And I'm going to just slightly give my opinion over as George. So if you feel differently, then I'll let you get your chance in afterwards. But I don't think you can compare this to the first Stadium Stampede. I think they're two very different matches. I think the first one on its own way was better. But what we got here, I still think was decent because we started in the stadium and it worked its way off. We worked at where Jericho and MJF were kind of going through, I think it was like offices and stuff like that. They were going through like obviously the playroom, but with something to do with the Jaguars and stuff. I enjoyed their interactions they had, but they're very different workers to what we had in the first year. So we didn't get as many of these high flying spots. It was only really Sammy Guevara in there that's got that kind of ability. Him with Sean Spears, I thought was quite fun, especially when they had their area where there was all the chairs. I liked the way that was filmed and put together, especially as well where, Sammy Guevara was handcuffed at one point as well. But we did see the wrench kind of area, or it may have even been pliers where he could get himself out of it. We saw the Proud and Powerful tag team and FTR fighting in front of a nightclub kind of scenery with Conan on DJ. I thought that was a fun little cameo. And of course, as well, we had Wardlow and Jake Hager, I should be saying. They went sort of in the cold room as well. Lots of physicality on different areas of the arena. It wasn't really mainly focused in the stadium part of itself, but it did work its way through to the fans. And that was a part I thought was essential here because if the fans are just watching the screen for like half an hour, I felt that this has probably got to be a very flat way for them to end the pay-per-view. It's been so long. It's a lockdown concept and being used here on a pay-per-view when we have fans back. I didn't know if this was going to work or not, but seeing the way it played out, I thought it was a fantastic match. I liked the way all the elements were put together. I liked the fact, especially when MJF and Jericho went to the crowd part, I thought it really boosted and just took this match to another level. It went from good to great, like within seconds. I love the fact that Jericho got his revenge, putting like a power bomb through MJF through the what seemed to be like through a table area as well, and being hit with a spotlight as well. And then we've got Sammy Guevara and Sean Spears out there for the finish part. Lovely backwards and forwards, but of course Sammy Guevara eventually picking up the pinfall victory, and the Inner Circle stayed together. And of course, all of them celebrating together in ring afterwards. All of them coming to ringside as we go off the show with the crowd screaming along to Judas, which I thought was a lovely. It gave me goosebumps just hearing everyone sing along to Judas. It's so amazing in front of fans. So for me, this was an epic encounter for that. But Stadium Stampede, very different to last year. I would say that it wasn't as good as last year, but it was a very different match, so perhaps unfair to compare. Jonesy, what were your thoughts with Stadium Stampede 2?
I loved it. I thought it was so good. This was WrestleMania 17 for me, like Raven versus Kane versus Big Show again. Had that feel. It also had the feel of the Hollywood Battle Brawl from WrestleMania 12. It kind of reminded me kind of that in parts. I really loved it. I loved the bar scene match where where they got bottled. I thought that was good. As you said, Conan was there. That reminded me of like the old game on the Mega Drive, like Streets of Rage. I had that kind of feel of it's very retro. And what I've got to give AEW credit is the way that the cameras followed these wrestlers. It told a story, like the way they followed the wrestlers. And some of the bumps though, they were just so hard hitting. Like you just sort of wince at some of them, but I loved it. I loved the way that clearly it was obviously filmed on Thursday and Friday, yet the way that the crucial scenes that end the show were like obviously live in front of the fans, which is great to see. But this was a really, really good match, and I would dream that we'd get such a match in WWE with factions. This is something that I've missed in wrestling as a wrestling fan. I just love the faction warfare. These were two factions that you could tell there's a hatred there. So there's a point to them having such a brutal match. But for me, I love the stadium environment. I thought it was really good. And I think for me, it was really hard because the placement of the card, obviously, had been on for sort of 4 hours at that point, but the crowd still were really excited by this point for this match. But great match. The finish was clever. Sammy Guevara looks like $1 million coming out of this match, which is good. And for me, really enjoyed it. I love the fire extinguisher of MJF as well. I thought that was kind of fun. And yeah, just really, really good. I think the placement of putting people against people, I think everybody that was against each other, like the Sammy Guevara and Sean Spears film was really, really well done. The Wardlow and the other guy was obviously done really well as well. Sorry, Wardlow and the other one, Jake Hager, was done really well as well. And this is just great. I really loved it. I think for me, it blew my expectations away.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's a completely different match. And I love the comparison to that Raven match in WrestleMania 17, sorry, there. Easy for me to say. But no, I think that was a great comparison because that match is so much fun and the way it was in different parts. And like I say, for me, it was a very different match to what we got last year. So it kind of, the expectation was different, but what we got from different workers, I really thoroughly enjoyed it still. I think it really did send a good message. And like you say, it was a very good feel-good factor. It's nice with these stables and that feeling. But to give it a comparison, which one was better in your opinion, Stadium Stampede 1 from last year or this year? Which one has been your favourite to this point?
Stadium Stampede 1 was better. I think the one thing that I think was a problem with this one is while the camera angles were focused on just one lot of wrestlers, there was no real question about someone else getting a pinfall elsewhere, which you had to kind of suspend your belief. You had to suspend your belief that nothing's going on. All the other wrestlers are, I don't know, off shopping at Tesco's or something. I don't know. Not shopping at Tesco's, but they're off something, doing something else. You know what I mean? They're off kind of doing something. But yeah, I thought it was good. I think this was fun. And for me, I think 1 was better, maybe because the Young Bucks were in 1. But I just thought this was a fun match. And I really kind of enjoyed it at the time. It didn't go too long. And I kind of enjoy it. I'm always worried, though, the amount of injuries coming out of this match, which if you put in 10 wrestlers in this position, you must be wincing because it's such a dangerous match to do. I can't imagine how dangerous it must be to do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like you say, all those spots that they have, there is kind of that feel there. But it did turn out really, really well. We both really enjoyed it. So, Jonesy, I need to ask the question, your rating for this match?
I go 4.5 out of 5. For me, it's everything I want as a wrestling fan. I'm a bit of an ECW kid. I used to love ECW back in the day. And for me, I love it when you're outside the ring. I love it when you're in sort of somewhere else where you've got bottles lying about or you've got sort of bolt cutters lying about or something a bit different, which for me, I just loved it. Even though the falls count anywhere element wasn't really felt in this match, for me, I just think it told a great story. As I said, I love the match.
Absolutely, indeed. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 with a lot of similar points. Did have a real enjoyment from it. Like I said, very different to last year, but still it brought its own flavour, its own element. Definitely felt unique and individual. And I thought the most crucial point is it finished in front of fans. And I think that was something that was desperately needed from this match. So that was really good, especially for performers when they've not had the opportunity to be in front of fans for so long. Yes, there were small stints with some of them. Guevara and of course Spears got the majority of that part, but still that feeling to be in front of fans for me was crucial. It's great for morale for the talent. It's also great for the fan base that they actually get to see these performers live as well when they've paid their hard-earned money to be there. So I was really, really happy with it. But we've got a few comments that have come flying in, George, just before I ask you a couple more questions before we end the stream. Silk saying the randomness of FTR and Taliban should just randomly chilling at a bar.
They forgot there's a match on. They forgot there's a match. They have to try and win.
I think so. I think they were suspending the disbelief thing, as you said there. They kind of all just separated and thought, we can just relax here.
I thought Conan's playing some good records. Let's stay.
I think so, yeah, exactly. I think Conan must be spinning some good tunes. Martigo said, did it feel like Stadium Stampede match? No, but it was entertaining, more than spots, but these cuts between different scenarios was a bit messy, kind of ruined his enjoyment. That's a fair point that he's made there. And Silk saying that he felt that the ending of this match was there to build Sammy up more than picking up the victory. I agree. It feels that Sammy Guevara here would probably get a major push coming from this.
He's going to have a singles push. For me, it wouldn't surprise me if he's against Kenny in maybe 3 or 4 months' time, based on after this.
I think that's a fantastic shout there, definitely. There's definitely some time between now and All Out, so they've got time to build it perfectly. And last comment here coming in from Martin Career just for the minute. Oh, two comments we've got coming in. Would give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was going to break up the Inner Circle since we were likely to see this match again. Well, there you go. Inner Circle are still together. It means there is room for one more match between these two if they want to do the rubber match. And it's funny how Sammy was the one to drive the golf cart and Spears getting hit. Yeah, that was a fun spot. Almost forgot to mention that. Really enjoyed that moment in it. Yeah, I mean, we mentioned there about the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. Do you see them having one more match to finish this off?
No, I think this was a feud ender. I'm not saying I wouldn't be a fan of it, but I'd love them to go out and do their own kind of things now, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've had a lot of time together.
Can I just add one thing? I think what they could do, now the Inner Circle got the win, I think there's a feud brewing with Kenny Omega stable. They've got a stable there as well, haven't they? So maybe that'll be the next stable versus stable feud, potentially.
I love that transition. That idea seems a lot of fun, especially if Sammy Guevara was to go for the world title. That would make a lot of sense. And of course, tag titles there as well. In the circle, they could just want gold. I think that's a very good suggestion that you make there. I think that would be quite awesome. And we do see Jefferson saying, I see MJF confront Sean Spears. Well, that's an interesting one as well there. So let's see what that could lead to going forward. Maybe it could be even a breakup with the Pinnacle. We'll have to wait and see. But to give your overall thoughts and score of this show, Jonesy, we can do that 1 out of 10. Yeah, do it out of 10 and give us your final thoughts.
8.5 out of 10 for me. I think this was wrestling pay-per-view of the year. It surpassed anything I've seen in WWE this year. Really, really good. I said it'd be WrestleMania 17 going in. I had them vibes all kind of weak, and for me, it delivered. Like, I know all the results are kind of predictable, but I still enjoyed every single match. Really, I still thought that it was a good investment. It's a 4-hour pay-per-view. I'm never always a fan of 4 hours, but it was 4 hours well spent, and I really kind of enjoyed what I saw.
Absolutely, I have to agree with that. I'm going to give it an 8.25, just to go slightly lower because I'm going to give the same score as you. I think it delivered on every aspect. There were a couple of moments where I felt the fans and it got a little bit tiresome. I think the thing is, it is a long pay-per-view, and I do wish that those pay-per-views were just a tad shorter. But apart from that, I do feel that, like you say, everything delivered and was more. It had those Mania vibes, like you said, Mania 17 vibes, and they delivered on every aspect. I think this is one of the best pay-per-views that AEW's done in total, and they've done some amazing pay-per-views. Like you say, pay-per-view of the year so far, no questions about it. So, yeah, I mean, that's my final thoughts on it. I think that it was a fantastic bit of time well spent, and now I look forward to Dynamite, as I'm sure you do, Jones.
Friday Night Dynamite, it's going to be good. They've got a few matches announced already, so it's going to be fun. Mark Henry's announcement as well. It's great they're building stuff. For me, last thing I was going to say is, in terms of the length of the show, I think if they dropped the Battle Royal to the buy-in, I think that would have made the show like a lot more like reasonable length.
Yeah, I would agree with that entirely. I think that would have been the smart move to do there. There wasn't as much star power in it, so they could have done that for the buy-in, I think. So, yeah, I think you're right there. Still saying the fact that a lot of results were predictable was the only downfall for him. And Martin Carrera also saying that he would give it a 9 out of 10. Ogogo stuff was messy, and the cuts from the Stadium Stampede got him a bit off. But AEW pay-per-views are more long than WWE's recent ones, and I would agree with that. WWE has actually learned to actually trim theirs down a bit of recent times, and AEW still go for the quite lengthy pay-per-views. But Jonesy, before we go today, I want to say thank you to you coming on here for the stream. Thank you for joining us for the AEW review. Thank you to everyone that's been putting in their comments as well, that's been watching you throughout. Thank you so much. And if once the video is finished, if you can drop a like, if you can share it, I'd be really grateful. And particularly as well when the stream is ended, if you can drop another comment just to say something you thought of the show as well, because it really helps with the algorithms. It's a boring thing to say. It's not fun for me to have to say it to you, but if you could do, I would really massively appreciate it. It just helps the channel out. So that's why I ask if you could do that for us. But just before we go, Jonesy, you have your own channel. Please give it a plug, please.
Oh, thank you very much, Steve. Very kindly to say. Yeah, Jonesy Chats Wrestling on YouTube. Just covered WWE, a lot of kind of Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, a bit of topical videos. We've got NXT reviews by NXT Steve as well. Really, really good. I appreciate all the sort of subs I can get. We are on the road to 150. I think we're like 4 subs away from 150. Really want to get to 200 subs by Money in the Bank. So any help you guys can give me by subbing will be really appreciated. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.
Absolutely, indeed, there. And let's get Jonesy to that. I will leave the link in the description of this video as soon as we come off. But thank you so much for Jonesy for joining. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This has been the AEW Double or Nothing 2021 review show. Did we enjoy it? Yes, we did. Take care, all the best, and we'll see you next time. I'll be back for SCW Live on Wednesday, and I'll be dropping at 11 p.m. And a special guest will be Tom Collarhue, so not to be missed. So hope to see you then. Take care. Have yourselves a good one. We'll see you next time.